Welcome back to the sanctuary of stardom, welcome back to Whispers of Turkish Stars. We are the keepers of on-screen lore, the listeners of murmured truths, and your favorite confidants when it comes to the lives that make Turkish showbiz glow. If you love stories where gossip becomes insight and glamour meets heart, you're in the right place. Before we set our sights on what's ahead, make sure you're subscribed, notifications on. And if you want to walk even closer with us and help this home continue to thrive, the join button is your doorway into our inner circle. Today, we're not paging through old headlines. We're looking forward to a horizon painted in the dazzling, determined colors of 2026, shaped by the couple everyone is watching, Mert Demir and Afra Sarıkoglu. In a world where celebrity romances flare and fade with the speed of a flashbulb, something about these two feels deliberate, almost engineered with care. The corridors of gossip haven't been buzzing with scandal this week, they've been shaking with intent. A statement, almost a promise, has taken hold among their closest friends and now spreads through every fan page and every late-night conversation. 2026 will be our year. This isn't a scribble on a napkin or a quick resolution made at midnight. It feels like a strategy. People close to the couple hint that those words reflect a full alignment of their trajectories. No longer two lines occasionally touching, but a braid, a shared path. Afra, always composed and luminous, is said to be in the midst of a careful professional evolution. Her approach has sharpened. She is choosing with intention, saying yes only to work that makes her grow and saying no to offers that glitter but leave no mark. Friends whisper that this clarity comes from balance and inner calm nurtured by the steadiness she's found with Mert. When the heart is anchored, the mind can afford to be selective. Afra isn't chasing visibility anymore, she's chasing meaning, a privilege born of a partnership that feeds rather than consumes. And Mert? He's looking outward and inward at once. He's making moves like a player who thinks beyond borders, listening to scripts that echo across languages, yet keeping his compass fixed on the home he and Afra are quietly building. The challenge they've set for themselves is bold, to stretch toward the world, while staying inseparable. Insiders say they've ringed 2026 on their calendars as a pivot point, when seeds planted now are meant to bloom. They've even locked in downtime months ahead, a near miracle given their schedules. No matter how loud the applause gets, they're making room to hear each other breathe. Afra's language has shifted too. In recent conversations, she's pointed to a new rhythm, a gentler pace. Now we see life with more calm and awareness. We want to grow together. Not simply to be together, but to grow. That idea changes everything. It's a vow to build, not just to exist. And it leaves us wondering here at Whispers of Turkish Stars, what is the destination they see in 2026? Do those words hint at a wedding, or at a shared project, maybe a feature film, maybe a return to a beloved story that needs their chemistry? We'd love to know your take. Are we hearing wedding bells or a director calling action? Drop your predictions in the comments, and tell us which other couples you want us to examine next. If this deep dive speaks to you, that like button goes a long way. Of course, the possibility of marriage hovers like starlight, soft, constant, impossible to ignore. They keep their silence disciplined, refusing easy headlines, but the architecture of their planning has lit the match of speculation. Afra, careful yet hopeful, has let slip a line that fans cling to with both hands: everything has its time. We're not in a hurry, but our dreams are big. For some, it sounds like a dress waiting behind a closed door. For others, it's a vow that doesn't require papers or rings to feel real. Those who know Mert say he's echoed it with equal gravity, confiding to friends, "Everything in my life is taking shape." When someone as guarded as Mert talks about life taking form, it often means a foundation is being poured. The fandom has already forged their faith into a mantra. 2026 will be our year has become a refrain, a soft chorus spoken in comment sections and whispered in anticipation. And among the ideas that spark the loudest reactions is the prospect of an on-screen reunion. The electricity Mert and Afra generated on Yali Kapkini wasn't merely craft, it felt like a current running under the surface. Rumor has it they're willing to share a script again, but only if it respects who they are now. They want material that holds room for their maturity, their growth, their bond, not just the surface shimmer of a pairing we already adore. But if we pull away from the spotlight and turn down the volume, something even more compelling is happening. They're redesigning the emotional architecture of their lives. The distance that often fractures actor couples? They're intent on dismantling it. Their calendars are being rewired with overlap in mind. Fewer long absences. Fewer birthday calls from airport lounges. Afra has quietly taken on a mantra that could live on a wall: success alone is a beautiful view, but shared, it becomes a landscape. And Mert, with a focus that cuts through noise, sees 2026 as consolidation, not just ascent. He's thinking about legacy, and it's evident he doesn't picture that legacy without Afra's touch. People close to them say Afra's fingerprints are already on his ideas, whispered in late-night talks, refining choices, widening horizons. Muse and collaborator at once. And here's a detail the veterans of this world have spotted immediately: family is folding into family. Time together with each other's kin isn't rare now, it's routine. Meals shared, jokes learned, rhythms syncopated until they feel familiar. Someone from Afra's circle says she carries newfound ease, the kind that comes from feeling thoroughly protected. This blending of families feels like proof that 2026 is not a slogan, it's a plan that stretches past one calendar year into an entire life. Sources close to the couple talk about a rebirth. Listen to Afra in her latest interviews: the edges are cleaner, the lens is clearer. I know exactly what I no longer want in my life, she says, and somehow the air lifts around the statement. That kind of clarity rarely appears in a vacuum. Mert has become a fixed point, visiting her sets between his own, hopping flights for short reunions that mean everything, honoring milestones with a precision that looks almost ceremonial. There's talk that he's shifting the geography of his upcoming slate, prioritizing projects in Turkey through 2026 so he can remain within arm's reach of the person who steadies him. And then there's the quiet rebellion, their right to silence. For all their courage in dreaming big, they're also reclaiming anonymity when they can. Friends say they disappear often, into green spaces, by stretches of water, into places where lenses can't find them. They hoard their stillness like collectors, saving it for the days when the city roars too loudly. In an era that demands disclosure, withholding can feel like an act of romance. Their escapes are unposted, uncaptioned, and somehow that makes them even more vivid to imagine. Meanwhile, producers are listening for footsteps. The idea of Mert and Afra exploring a new script together has thrown pitches into a frenzy. But they're being careful. The bar is high. They want a story that breathes, one that treats them as artists who've lived, not just as faces that match well in a frame. Think of the themes they could walk into now: time, loyalty, the fringes of fame, how love survives the machinery of work. It's a powerful image: two people who refuse to be rushed, building something you can't fake. Their professional routes, while distinct, feel synchronized by design. Afra is letting the noise fall away. She is no longer interested in the immediate glow of a headline, but in the lasting warmth of roles that demand something honest. She is, according to people who know her well, filtering everything through the question: does this help me grow? And Mert continues to test the edges, curious about international ventures, open to crossovers, but not at the cost of the harmony he's building at home. It's a dance that requires discipline and trust. So far, they seem in step. What's perhaps most striking is how clearly they've defined their non-negotiables. Overlap time. Shared rituals. Family integration. Private corners of the map where no one follows. The kind of guardrails that keep a pair steady when the road curves. All of it hints that the words 2026 will be our year are less about a single peak and more about a stretch of landscape they intend to claim together. And we return, inevitably, to the question of marriage. They don't feed the rumor mill. They don't leave breadcrumb trails for the sake of a headline. And yet, the way they move, methodical, tender, precise, keeps the conversation alive. Afra's line, "Everything has its time. We're not in a hurry, but our dreams are big," remains a Rorschach. If you're sentimental, you can hear the orchestra tuning for a ceremony. If you're pragmatic, you hear the sturdiness of a commitment that doesn't require a stage. Mert's reflection, "Everything in my life is taking shape," feels like the finishing stroke on a blueprint. A future is being drafted in quiet rooms. The ink is deep. There's also the practical magic of their planning. Vacations locked months ahead, carved like stone into calendars that never sit still. They are making sure that in the roar of success they can still find the hush of a familiar room. Imagine it. A winter retreat far from the city, pages of a script curling at the corners, the warmth of a kitchen late at night, souvenirs stacked from places no one knows they went. Those are the details success can't buy if you don't fight for them. They are fighting. Fans remember their early sparks, and they archive everything. They note how softer both have become in recent appearances, how the gaze holds a second longer, how the smiles don't need to prove themselves anymore. And the fandom, devoted as ever, says it out loud, we're ready. Ready for the moment they return to a set together. Ready for a December surprise. Ready for a headline that breaks the internet at dawn. Whether it's a co-lead in a cinema story with backbone or a limited series that refuses the usual shortcuts, they want more than chemistry, they want coherence, stakes, and the kind of intimacy you can't manufacture. Through it all, Mert and Afra keep choosing ordinary tenderness. When schedules clash, they negotiate. When pressure swells, they step back. They have learned the art of sharing oxygen. There's a new steadiness in the way they talk about work, as if triumph means less if it arrives to an empty room. On those rare nights apart, they trade messages that are quick, simple, and vital. On the nights together, they make rituals out of ordinary things: late tea, shared playlists, scripts read aloud on the sofa, notes penciled in margins that only they understand. In the end, what they're building feels less like a plan and more like a practice. Daily, deliberate, stubbornly gentle. And so the question, will 2026 be their year, almost feels too small. When a pair is this aligned, this intentional, this in love, every year bends toward them. Still, we'll be right here at Whispers of Turkish Stars, eyes on the horizon, ready to bring you the moment the next piece locks into place. Thank you for spending this time with us at Whispers of Turkish Stars. If you believe in the future Mert Ramazan Demir and Afra Sarakoglu are designing, tap like, share this with the people who've been rooting alongside you, and consider hitting join to keep this space bright. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your feet steady beneath you. We'll be waiting, listening, and ready for the next whisper to become a story. And one last thing before we close the book on today's chapter, remember the line that started it all. 2026 will be our year. It used to be a rumor. Now it sounds like a promise. When it finally arrives, it won't thunder in with grand speeches. It will happen quietly, in the care of two people who prepared for it, who honored it, who made room for it long before the calendar turned. That is how real beginnings work. They don't crash. They unfold. We will see you soon.